Alabama will get pretty far into the tournament. You'll have to see how far and keep watching our show. Appreciate all of you joining us. Once again, we're going through the entire NCAA bracket. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see us build the bracket on the screen. If you want to engage with us, make sure you follow us. Hit us up in our DMs. We're more than happy to talk picks. So if you want us to help build your bracket, make sure you contact us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, But Fumble Sports, and of course on Twitter @SportsFumble. Tim, you're going to have to stick around. I'm going to give out all of my picks for all the regions. So those are the next two regions we're going to go through. The next region we're going to break down for the round of 64 is the West region. We'll start with Kansas. We'll be really quick about it. I like Kansas to advance against Howard. Not going to make a lot of time with it. I know there are some people who are thinking they're going to be a 116 upset this year. I don't think so. I have Kansas advancing. Kansas plays the winner, though, of Arkansas versus Illinois. This is a really tough game for me to pick. I like both of these teams a lot, like both of their head coaches, Eric Musselman of Arkansas, Brad Underwood of Illinois. Arkansas is a 2.5-point favorite right now. When it comes to these teams, they're kind of middle of the pack statistically. There isn't something they do either really well. If you were to say there was something they do well, it's defense. So I certainly could see this being a lower scoring game. The line right now, the total rather, is set at 143.5 points. I want to see how that line movement plays out before I put down a total bet. But when it comes to building our bracket and making a pick, I'm going to go with Arkansas. I like Illinois a lot, but I think Arkansas is the slightly better team. I think this is a very close game, so I'm not going to bet the spread. Given that the spread right now is only 2.5 points, I feel like this could be a buzzer-beating situation, a last-shot situation. So I will take Arkansas to advance to the round of 32, just barely over Illinois. That'll be the pick. The next game in the West region that we're going to break down is St. Mary's going up against VCU. St. Mary's has some impressive metrics. If you're looking for a dark horse team that actually could win the tournament overall, St. Mary's falls into what is the criteria that has defined the last 19 of 20 winners of the NCAA tournament, according to KenPom rankings. But St. Mary's is just a 4.5-point favorite against VCU, who's a very good defensive team. VCU allows just the 24th fewest points per game, 7th in defensive rating. St. Mary's is a great defensive team as well. They only allow 60 points per game. That's good for 5th in the country. So expect a very low-scoring game. But that said, I actually like the over because the line, the total is set so low right now, the over is actually a good play. The total right now is set at 122.5 points. That's one of those situations where Vegas is setting a line that's so low, knowing these are two really good defensive teams, that actually the over is the better play because the under is, the under would be a 59-59 kind of game. I don't see that happening. I see there being a 65-64 finish. So I like the over in this game. I do like St. Mary's on the money line. I have been considering VCU on a cover. I haven't touched it yet. I'm curious to know if this spread's going to get some movement. Right now, St. Mary's, like I mentioned, is a 4.5-point favorite. If that gets pushed up to 5.5 points, I game UConn 24-8, Iona 27-7. The spread for this game right now is 9.5 points. That seems way too big for me. I like Iona to cover the spread. I'll just jump right to the chase. Iona is a good team, especially when it comes to both offense and defense. They're 69th in points per game. They're 42nd in defense and points allowed per game. When it comes to offense and defensive rating, they're in the top 50 in both categories. UConn can tout the same thing. This is going to be a really competitive matchup. UConn has 3 players that average double figures. You want to make sure that you keep an eye on their leading scorer who averages 17.3 points per game. UConn averages 17.3 assists per game. They're really good at distributing the basketball. That's a quality that is really coveted in the NCAA tournament, is your ability to hold on to the ball, not have turnovers, but be able to distribute, challenge against different defenses that you face. I think UConn is a really good team. I just think Iona is a tough first opponent for them in the round of 64. I like UConn on the money line, advancing to the round of 32, but I like Iona to cover the 9-point spread, and I like the under in this game The trend suggests the under is the good play, so I'll go with the under in that, but I like UConn advancing, beating Iona in a very close game to set up what should be a very competitive 4-5 game between UConn and St. Mary's in the West region. We now shift down to the bottom half of the West bracket. Number 6 TCU will play the winner of Arizona State and Nevada. We will quickly talk about that play-in game. I like Arizona State to win that one. Arizona State has been the better team throughout the regular season. They were 11-9 in a competitive Pac-12 conference. I like them on the defensive side of the ball. They're allowing just 67.7 points per game. So I like Arizona State to win that game and to cover. Arizona State right now is a 2.5-point favorite. I have Arizona State covering. I like the under in that play-in game. But Arizona State advancing to then play TCU. TCU is a team that people should have their eye on, making a potential run to the Sweet 16. So I like TCU beating Arizona State. We won't break down that game, given that there's still the play-in game to be determined. The final the winner of Gonzaga Grand Canyon will play TCU, according to me. I like Gonzaga. Again, I'm going to be quick about this one. Gonzaga, the best offense in the country, averaging the most points of any team in the country. Gonzaga is just an established team. They've been here before. This is a 15.5-point spread. For that reason, I do like Grand Canyon University to cover, but I like Gonzaga on the money line. This is easy for me. Drew Timme, their leader, their superstar, he's averaging 20.9 points per game, 7.3 rebounds, 3.2 assists. He does everything for them. There's no way he's going to allow them to lose in an opening round matchup to Grand Canyon University. I like Gonzaga on the money line and advancing, but I will take Grand Canyon to cover. Grand Canyon's a pretty good offensive team in their own right, so I expect them to cover. I also like the over in this game as well. I like Gonzaga to advance, though, in the bracket. We're building what is supposedly the perfect bracket. Make sure you're following us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, Butt Fumble Sports. That way you know every time we go live. If you have questions, we have answers. We'll be answering all of your questions in the chat. We're just building our bracket now. But make sure you're hitting that follow button. That way you know when we drop any content around some of the bets we like or some of the picks we're making for the NCAA tournament. We have 2 more games in the West region to break down. The first one is Northwestern going up against Boise State. 2 really good defensive teams. Northwestern with a surprise second finish in the Big Ten this year, going 12-8. They're a 1.5-point favorite against Boise State, who finished second in the Mountain West Conference. Like I mentioned, these are 2 really good defensive teams. Northwestern, 19th in the country in points allowed per game. Boise State, 35th. When it comes to defensive rating, Northwestern was 31st. Boise State was 32nd. The committee knows what it's doing. They're pairing up 2 of the best defensive teams up against one another. I expect this to be a battle, but I like Northwestern. They were tested throughout the regular season with their Big Ten conference schedule. They had some really good wins against Purdue and Indiana. They didn't go as far in the Big Ten tournament as I would have liked, but I like Northwestern to win and to advance. I like the under in this game as well. Right now, the total is set at 127.5 points. Given both of these teams are so good defensively, I like Northwestern to cover. Nathan, you agree with me in that you like Northwestern on the cover. You don't think it'll be close. The difference in competition, the difference in talent between the Big Ten and the Mountain West, I tend to agree with you. I like Northwestern on the cover. I do like the under as well, but Northwestern advancing to the round of 32. We're going to close out now the West region. We have one more game to pick. It's UCLA against UNC Asheville. UCLA is a 17.5-point favorite. This is a no-brainer one for me right now. I'll just go for it. UCLA on the money line. We can put it in the books. I like UCLA to advance to the round of 32. We've covered 3 of the 4 regions, 1 more to go. Make sure you're following us on TikTok, Instagram, and on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. That way you know every time we go live throughout the week. We'll be jumping on TikTok Live and YouTube throughout the week to provide information to help you build your brackets and maybe more importantly, to help you with your betting. A lot of line movement's going to go down over the next 48, 72 hours. You don't want to miss the advice that can help you put together a winning parlay. So make sure you follow us. Hit that follow button if you're on TikTok. Hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. That way you know every time we go live and you can get some good gambling trend information, good game note information to help you cash your tickets. Also, hit the link in our bio, takes you right to our website, buttfumblesports.com. Join our free bracket challenge. We're doing it through ESPN. Our newsletter will go out tomorrow morning. Make sure you're signing up for that free newsletter because it contains all the information you need to be a part of that bracket challenge, the password, everything you need. So sign up for that free newsletter. The link is in our bio. Take us on. Show us that you know what you're talking about when it comes to college basketball. Okay, the